My dad gets basically kidnapped, taken to a Transylvanian prison, literally a Transylvanian prison in the middle of nowhere, Romania. We don't hear from him for a year. We think he's dead. They took him, they killed him. My mom's depressed, sad. I'm at that point 3.5 years old, give or take. And we get a call from his best friend.
My mom was a dental assistant during the day and worked at a Pizza Hut at night.
This is so funny. Dude, it's like I'm looking in a mirror, man.
Yeah.
The story is so, I can relate to so many of the things you're saying because my parents, very similar to yours, they were hands-off parents.
Definitely strategies to get out of a lot of taxes. Like I personally haven't paid federal income tax in like 6 years.
And it's mainly because Ferrari did themselves with that piece of shit Lucy. I hate that car. I am looking at you, Ferrari. Take me off your list. I'll never buy again. There's chiefs and there's Indians. There's people that are naturally born chiefs. They will always lead. They'll always stand out in a crowd. They're always going to go and be go-getters.
I dropped out of high school. I got a GED. You know, I didn't know where I was going in life. I went in the Army.
I started seeing like, okay, baseball is just a business where people are profiting.
So all I'm going to do is, it's not going to be super organized. What I've done, I've done this is my third time now doing this.
Okay.
And basically just have a normal conversation and then we pull some clips out of it and whatever. But so far has worked out pretty good on the last
You got
two.
lucky.
So I got lucky. Yeah. So I guess just start with, obviously you were kind of filling them in on what you used to do in the business you sold, but let's start with that and kind of hear where you came from. And
so I answer your question with a quick question. So the format you guys have, is the goal of the podcast to be more informative of how guests have achieved what they've achieved, or is it more inspirational where the guests are trying to give people tips and advice that they've learned? Okay, perfect.
Yeah. So I have one full episode out that I just put on YouTube. I'm not pushing people toward the podcast on, hey, watch my podcast. I have it. If you want to watch the whole thing, you can watch it, but it's really so that I can get out all these, 60-second, 90-second clips, talking about different things. I do love the idea on advice because I think, I'll go back to these guys, before you got here was, a lot of questions, hey, what supercar should I look at? When should I start looking at it? What kind of money should I be making? What's it cost for insurance? What's, this? So I think outside of our world, let's call it, a lot of people don't know where to start. They don't know, just talking about cars, like how much do they truly cost? What's maintenance really like? What's insurance like? What cars should I look at and not look at? Can I afford one of those or not afford it? And I try to explain, like, it's a lot easier to afford than you really realize. It also opens lots of doors, and people, you hear that, but they don't realize how real that actually is. It really does open lots of doors.
Right.
But I also like the idea of, learning where you came from. I grew up poor. When I say real poor, like really poor, like double wide trailer poor. Okay. My mom was a dental assistant during the day and worked at a Pizza Hut at night. Okay. Waiting tables, single mom, three kids. And every night, well, not every night, but most nights, what we ate for dinner was what was messed up at Pizza Hut. They would put in a warmer and let her bring home, and we would get stuff, leftover pizza. Yeah,
good old pizza.
Yeah, good pizza. And I had holes in my shoes, and initially we were in apartments, and we, every year when they would raise the rent, we would have to move because she couldn't afford the apartment, so we'd go to the next apartment, right? And then after so many years, eventually I remember she bought a double wide, and I've told the story a million times, but I was super proud of her when she bought a double wide. Like now she doesn't have to move anymore. Yeah. It's just
an achievement.
It's just a shitty double wide, but it's her house now. She owns it. She doesn't have to move anymore. And when a double wide is new, it was actually
pretty nice
compared to what we've been doing, right? And it's funny because that's how I grew up. And I dropped out of high school. I got a GED. I didn't know where I was going in life. I went in the Army. It's like, hey, when I grew up, I'll figure it out. I'll get out. I'll go back to college, and I'll figure things out at that point. And that's what I did. I spent some time in the Army. I got out, went back to school.
I was in the Marines, right?
No, I didn't know that. Yeah.
8 years.
Okay. So I did 4.5 on active duty and then another 6-ish in the National Guard.
Right? Yeah.
So, and went back to school, and that's how I paid for school. I didn't have the money to pay for school. So went back to school, got a business degree, started working at Merrill Lynch, and kind of,
there you go.
Where I'm at now. Literally no idea where I was going in life, no good role models, no one showing me the path.
Your own direction.
Yeah. And I just got lucky to get to where I am sort of at this point.
Yeah.
But I think people like to hear that stuff too.
Yeah.
Because they can relate, go, man, I can actually get there, or I can achieve this.
Well, I think, the most inspirational people in the world are people that build something from nothing, right? How often do you hear that a guy that started with a $2 million, family inheritance turned into a $20 million family or a personal, wealth? Rarely are those stories appealing, mainly because the person hasn't really earned anything, right? They have a hell of a head start. It'd be like starting a race and the guy's, 100 yards ahead of you. Yeah, that's great. He's really fast, but he got a hell of a start. So any story where the person has started from any place of disadvantage is a great story to hear. And I think they're all different. Ours are very similar. Listening to your story, it reminds me very, very much of mine. The only difference is I was born in Romania, right? So I'm Romanian. My dad's side's Italian, right? Dad went as an Italian gigolo man, went over to Romania to the Black Sea and was like, there's chicks there. And, next, beep, bop, boop, here I am. Well, they realized that, they were in a pretty rough country. My mom was very young. She was, when she got pregnant, 17, so had me at 18. And they're in a communist country, right? I mean, Romania was run by Ceausescu, a dictator technically at the time. And you couldn't really raise a family there. It was very difficult. She also came from absolutely no money, but was very pretty. So, sometimes just get lucky and you meet a rich Italian guy, right? Well, at the same time, my dad, as an Italian family, you earn your keep. You don't just get anything, right? So they had to figure it out. And they realized quickly that you're not going to be able to raise a child and it be either healthy or educated or well off in Romania, not in that climate. This was in the early 70s or late 70s. Sorry, I'm dating myself. I'm born in 77.
77. Same age.
Yeah. So God, 50s right around the corner, man. I didn't want to think about it.
Yeah.
So the thing about it is, though, when you look at it and you think, okay, they had to make a decision as very young parents, like what the hell do? We don't really have any money. What do we do? So these geniuses, I'm going to tell you a great story here. This is going to blow your mind. These geniuses, they were this is the hippies, right? 70s, 80s, 60s, right? They were hippies. So they thought, go to the parade. Now, this is a presidential dictator parade. So think Kim Jong-un, right? He's got the tanks out. He's got like his people, like the Muppets that, kind of show off the force. He comes in his limousine, right? His whatever Mercedes brand limousine. My parents with me strapped on a makeshift homemade Bjorn, right? Where I'm on the back, like a little kid, right? I think I was 2 years old at the time. They have these dumbass signs that say, let us go free, because they had tried to leave to come to America and they were denied by the Romanian government, not the US government. And then they applied as refugees and Romania tightened it even tighter around them. Their neck said, you even try to leave, we're going to imprison both of you. So they thought, we'll make a ruckus. So then they go out there with this sign saying, let us go free. Instantly arrested on spot. Obviously, they ran up to the dictator's freaking limousine. Surprised they weren't shot on site, right? Yeah. Separated. Mom gets thrown into an alley. Mind you, I'm on a baby Bjorn on her backpack, right? She gets kicked around a little bit. I probably got hit in the head because that's why I'm as smart as I am. And my dad gets basically kidnapped, taken to a Transylvanian prison, literally a Transylvanian prison in the middle of nowhere, Romania. We don't hear from him for a year. We think he's dead. They took him, they killed him. My mom's depressed, sad. I'm at that point 3.5 years old, give or take. We get a call in the middle of the night. And again, I'm being told this, right? I have no recollection of anything. I remember some vague things, but not very much. And we get a call from his best friend. Now, because he had been taken away and he was the breadwinner and she was a homemaker, she had to try to get help from a welfare system we had in Romania and friends and whatever. So we were moving around like from house to house. We really didn't have a phone or a phone number anywhere. So he calls his friend Dan, who was a good buddy of his, and says, hey, I just got let out of prison. I'm in Transylvania. You got to come get me. Now, this is miles away from Bucharest where we were. And he goes to the apartment my mom was staying at, says, pack up your shit. We got to go get Chris. He's on the side of the road in Transylvania. Sure enough, get in the car. It's a whatever amount of hour ride. We get there, picked him up. The guy's completely like a shell of himself. He weighs 80 pounds, has all kinds of like these, parasite diseases you get when they just throw you into a pit. He was in a prison. They fed him potatoes and water for a year. No trial, no jury, none of that. It's just like punishment for talking up, and surprisingly, he lived, right? Like the goal of those kind of encampments is you die, and then you just don't have to worry about you, right? You're not going to report anything. Well, he comes home and he's a mess, right? So we take him to the hospital and they do their best. And about 2 weeks later, he comes home to the apartment. We get a knock at the door, 2 dudes in suits. Now, turn the story back just real quick. My dad was an electrician by trade. So he would do everything from home electrician setups to a factory, whatever. Well, he had done various jobs for various people throughout the years. One of the people that he did a job for happened to be working for the private security team of, call it the Secret Service, whatever the Romanian version that is. So anyway, these 2 guys show up, knock on the door. Hey, is Chris and Marcella Phillip here? And she's like, yeah, but he's in bed. He's bedridden. He was just let out of prison and he's very sick. They go, listen, his name was Constantine. Anyway, whatever. He goes, your father or your husband did a really nice electrical job at my house. He came up on our docket of people we are supposed to incarcerate permanently. I'm letting you know ahead of time. You guys have a week before that gets sent out to us to come collect him. Get out of the country. I'm giving you this heads up as a favor to you guys because he helped me out. That was our ticket. So of course, pack up every bag we had. We got on the first train, literally like bums. Yeah. We got on a cargo train to Italy where we had family, where my dad had family, where we had some relatives at least, and just escape the country the best we could with the money on our back. So you talk about poor. We had literally the figurative saying of with the bags on our back or with the clothes on our back. So we lived in Italy for a year as refugees, eventually got accepted by the U.S. And so that's that story. So that's how I get to the U.S. Bags on our back. My dad is told by the U.S. Embassy and whatever refugee system it was, they said you have 3 choices of places you can live. New York City is accepting refugees, Dallas, Texas, and Cleveland, Ohio. So I mean, like, what the fuck? Yeah. It's some beautiful places, right? He picks Cleveland, Ohio. Oh, that's got water right by it. It's very much like Romania.
So we have a lot in common then.
Okay,
because I was born in Parma.
Oh my God. I lived on Ridge Road.
Ridge?
So Brooklyn.
Okay.
So you remember Brooklyn, right down Parma. So Parma Mall.
Yeah, I know
Parma Town Mall.
Yep.
Okay, that's Ridge Road.
Okay.
So that's, I forget what's up, State and
My
Ridge.
grandparents lived on State in North Royalton, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was like 2 miles down the road.
Okay.
Fucking A. Yeah. What a world. But anyway, so the thing about it is when he looked at the map, it appealed to him visually that there was a lake by the coast.
Right.
Little did he know it was the lakefront, not the coast, right? So we ended up in Ohio. So that's why I grew up in Ohio. But the same thing, we got here and we were accepted by a refugee family, right? They bring people in, they help them acclimatize, Romanians that had made it or whatnot. But they tax you. 50% of every penny my father and mother made when they got here was taxed by the AKA refugee assistance guy, and which is kind of a scam. It's kind of like these homes that they put old people in and whatever. So it was a disaster. I grew up from literally baby stage to join the military where it was like crumbs and peanuts. You just stayed alive, right? And the military was really my only choice for 2 reasons. One, I was very thankful that the military allowed me to come here, or the country allowed me to come here. It was my way of giving back, right? I knew I was going to join the military to say, thank you for allowing my family to survive, right? But then the other thing about it was mainly the fact that what else was I going to do? Get a job. Yeah, sure. I had jobs and I was an employable person. But at the same time, it was like, I had no real direction because my parents were so busy working. They couldn't really raise a kid, the way that parents do today, where you take them to baseball practice and they have like go-karts.
My fucking daughter now is so spoiled. And I have 3 daughters, 29, 25, and 14. Okay.
Yeah.
And 29 and 25, I had when one actually prior to going in the Army and then one while I was in the Army. And my lifestyle back then is not the same as my lifestyle now, right? Mm-hmm. So my older daughters see how things are with my younger daughter and they're just like, hey, she's so spoiled. And she is, and if I was able to do the same stuff back then, I totally would. It just wasn't, something we were able to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, now my kid, for activities on the weekend, like she's going to go do surfing, at Revel Surf Park, or, like we both as parents go to all of her cheerleading events, sporting events. Like I didn't have parents going to anything. My dad, I bounced back and forth between my mom and my dad's house. My dad never went to any of my soccer games, like never. He didn't show up to any event until I was in the Army and I was graduating Ranger School. So Army Ranger School.
Yeah.
And I'm graduating. He shows up to that, but not for me. It was more so that he can brag to the people he knows that my kid's an Army Ranger.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with me. It was more for him.
Right.
And didn't see him again really after that.
Yeah.
Anyways, he can brag about it,
Yeah. This is so funny. Dude, it's like I'm looking in a mirror, man.
Yeah.
The story is I can relate to so many of the things you're saying because my parents, very similar to yours, they were hands-off parents. That was more kind of the old way. That's European way of raising your child. You raise them. But there was always a family you came to. Like there was always a family meeting or a dinner or an event that you all got together for. And it was constant, right? We didn't have any of that. So there was literally like the separation. It's almost like that. They throw the bird out of the nest. And if it flies, it lives. If it doesn't, it's dead. That was their model. Throw them out the window.
I look back at all the guys I grew up with, all my friends.
Mm-hmm.
None of them went anywhere. None of them. Yeah. And somehow, and I think, for me, it was the Army, is getting out of that area, getting away from that group of people. And the Army opened doors for me. Yeah. So one, you become more responsible and you get some motivation and whatnot, right? And my job is Army Ranger, and I was in a sniper section.
Sure.
So I
was a marksmanship instructor. God, this is weird.
I jump out of planes, shoot machine guns, shoot some sniper rifles. I go to work in the morning, I work out.
Yeah.
I shoot guns during the day, and then I work out again in the afternoon. Like that's my whole job, right? And as a young guy, I thought that was a super cool job. Yeah. I didn't make a lot of money, but it was a super cool job. Yeah. And I didn't know what the fuck I was doing in life anyway. Right. So why not just go play with guns all the time?
Right.
And when I got out, I went to school, got my business degree, but then I applied for a job at Merrill Lynch, and being a veteran helped me get that job. So that is what initially got me on the path that I am now, was the fact that I was in the military. And of course, Merrill Lynch hired me because they get some sort of preferential tax treatment or, whatever.
Of course.
But
docket,
it opened the door for me.
Yeah.
And without that, I would have never been there. Right. And I'd probably been like all these other guys. I remember when I was getting out of the Army, my best friend growing up, Donnie Smith, MySpace was the thing back then. So he'd hit me up on MySpace, and he's
coming back. It's coming back.
Yeah, I saw that. He hits me up on MySpace, and he's like, "Hey, we should hang out, when you get back into town or whatever." And I'm like looking at his profile, and I'm like, fuck, you got like 5 kids with 4 different baby mamas, and like fucking dad's still selling crack out of this house. Like, I literally have zero interest in hanging out with you. Right. I don't want to go that route. I want to go a different route, And but yeah, literally everyone I grew up with. Yeah. Nowhere. And
the same thing, because we're in the same area. Yeah. I grew up in very similar areas. It's the same thing. When I left for the military, I looked back when I came back after my 3 months and or 4 months, whatever, you get that 10-day leave, you come home and you can do recruiting or you can fuck off. And I was like, I'm going to do recruiting. I want to get some rank. Right. So I go to recruiting. I'm kind of a natural sales guy anyway. So it was just an easy thing for me to do. Plus I can love the military. I mean, it changed my life, right? Good and bad, but we'll talk that in a bit. But it was one of these things where I was like, of course I'm going to go sell the military to my friends. And I go find these guys and they're fucking like the world stopped. I've been gone for 4 months. I've seen, half of the East Coast. I've done all these cool things, learned all these cool things. And these guys have literally been working at Applebee's for 3.5 months that don't know what they're going to do for the summer. It's like, what the fuck were you guys doing all this time? And it made me realize, just like you said, like, I don't want to hang out with any of these people because their career paths and their future goals are so limited to this little bubble that they're in. Yeah. And I think that's the big problem with society and people. One of the tips I would give people is stop living in your bubble, in your comfort zone bubble, right? So many people find a comfort zone, either be with and this will really go when we get to it with my kind of life saying about never fall in love with a bad idea. And we'll come back to that. But so many people get trapped in a bubble and they create a prison for themselves, both, emotionally, financially, successfully, all the things, because they put barriers on themselves. And they do it in a way where there's no way to break through it, because if you don't believe you can get to a next thing and you don't set a goal for yourself, why would anybody else do it for you? The world's too busy, man. I mean, nowadays it's even busier than it ever was. People are too busy to worry about if you're going to get your nut. or if you're going to get your goals achieved, or if you're going to do it, even your parents, they're so busy doing parent shit, like good parents, right? That care about their kids and they're worried about their kids. They want to do their Instagram cooking posts for their friends. So their girlfriends at the, book club really think they're cool. Everybody's busy. There's all these other things. Dad's got 6 fantasy leagues he's in, and he's going to win this year finally. You know what I mean? He's got to wear a clown hat all summer. Like, they're busy. So who's going to help you get out of your bubble if you're not doing it? And that's the problem. So many people set these almost glass ceilings and cover themselves in a way that they can't achieve.
I think it still goes, you hear it all the time, your network or your group is how successful you're going to be, right? And it 100% that, right? Because not that, like you're saying, not that people are going to jump out of their way to help you, but being around the success drives you more. It says, hey, this is attainable. And then the other thing I've noticed is car club's a perfect example. When guys get together, everyone's talking about things that we do.
Yeah.
What type of business you have, or what investment I'm getting in, or asking for advice. That's a big thing. Guys in general, for some reason, don't like to get advice. But if you want to be successful, you need advice. You need to learn from somebody that's already doing it. And in the club in particular, you can just go up to someone, hey, have you invested in this? Tell me how you did it. What were the goods? What were the bads? What do I need to look out for? Who should I be talking to? What should I be paying? Where do I need to go look? Like, you can get all that info. It's right at your fingertips from someone that's already done it and either failed or been successful.
Right.
But either way, you're going to learn from that without having to make the mistakes on your own.
And get a nugget.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is too, is a lot of times in any group, any social environment, any group, I always say, try to be attentive to what people are saying, but don't just be a fly on the wall, because then you become kind of what I call a user, right? I always want to be a benefit to people.
Right.
So from my military, and when we both were trained the same way, you want to be naturally a leader, right? You want to lead a group of people. If you're in a room of 6, 10 people, most of the time you can be able to pick out the military guys, because they're the ones that are going to try to find the exit first, or try to find, or do this or do that. And they're going to be the ones that are kind of the doers in the group. Rarely do you see guys with military training be guys that sit back and just wait for somebody to tell them what to do, even though that's what we're trained to do, right? Listen to orders. Subliminally though, even though we're trained to listen to order, we're also very much trained to give orders.
Yeah. And you're trained to make a decision.
Exactly. And act on it.
Stick with that decision. Like, even if it's right or wrong.
Yes. Live with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have the courage to make a decision and go. And this is, again, back to what I was saying about my kind of my life motto about never fall in love with a bad idea, is having belief in your convictions and doing what it is that you set your mind to. That's such a big deal. And like you said, in social circles, listening is always important, of course, because that's how you learn and you get bigger and better. But being able to also lead and extract information from people that normally wouldn't give it, that's a huge asset, right? And I think it's so important for people to be vocal in environments where they're uncomfortable, because it actually, so many people that are looking for potential partners or employees love the guy or the gal that is bringing himself the froth above everybody else. If you just are like a wallfly, man, you're just going to disappear. And that's the unfortunate thing, is so many people, again, back to the bubble, right? Mm-hmm. They create this prison for themselves where they just don't want to cause any waves. It's like, dude, you live for 80 years at best. Let's say you're a really fit guy. You're doing 90.
My dad died at 67.
You see what I'm saying?
If I make it to 80, I'm doing great.
Right?
Yeah.
Think of it this way, right? You live, let's just go with 80. We'll do a round number. 80. 10 of them, you're shitting your pants on both ends. 10 years in the front, 10 years in the back, you're shitting your pants. So that gives you 60 years where you're actually able to do something. 30 of those, you're pretty much cooked because you're old, you're tired, everything hurts. You don't really want to do anything. 10 of those years on the front side till you're about 20, you don't even know what the hell you want to do. So you really got about 30 years, and that really shrinks the window of where your opportunity to either make it or break it is. So people that piss away those 30 years, like from their early 20s to their 50, and we're on the back end, buddy, just so you know, if you haven't really kind of honed in on your target, what you're going to do, who you're going to marry, who you're going to fall in love with, how many kids you're going to have, and you're just kind of floating around, you done fucked up. Like, you got to get your shit together. And if you're 40, 42, 44 in that golden era where it's going to get really hard to put in 60, 80 hours of work a week, man, you better get off the pot and you better break out of that glass window or glass cage you put yourself in and pick a direction, whatever the hell it is, and just take risk and do it, because what do you have to lose? The next of your shitty years? Oh, well, it's the good news is most old people get taken care of because people feel bad for them. It's way better than young people that don't do anything for themselves that nobody cares about, because like, you're able-bodied, go figure it out.
Right.
Old people are like, oh, I feel bad for that old guy. I'm going to get him a place to stay. You know what I mean? So it's just so interesting how, and I'll come back to the military real quick. The military did two things for me. It made me who I am today, but it also showed me the world, the reality of it. So I was military police, 5811 military police. And I always tell people, they say, oh, military police, what do you guys do all day? Watch the gate? It's like, I wish, but what military police does, and yeah, the young PFCs, and yeah, they watch the gate, they're pretty effed. But the older guys, when you make NCO and you get above and beyond staff sergeant and all that, you get attached to different segments. And I was a marksmanship instructor and a marksmanship a shooter for our SWAT team that we had. It was called SEB instead of Special Enforcement Branch, instead of SWAT. We just wanted a cool name. Yeah. Anyway, but when I was attached to this and you start policing, you see the same shit real cops see, because a base is a little city. People have domestic disturbances. People have assaults. People have theft. People have drug labs that they do on base because the crazy wife has got a boyfriend that they're running a meth lab out. It literally happened. Almost died from walking into a meth lab in a bathroom. That it's chemicals everywhere, right? And seeing kind of like the armpit of the world and the armpit of society, right? Seeing the worst of people, which is what first responders see on a regular basis, specifically police versus fire and rescue. It really makes you realize that whole make it or break it. Because when you can see how evil people can be to each other, you really start cherishing how good you can be, right? And even though seeing some of the things that I saw, and specifically the things I was exposed to, permanently like imprinted an image and an event in my mind and changed me as a person. Many years of counseling, by the way, still in it, but it made me realize how valuable that window is again, right? And it made me realize that taking a chance on a small business is such a fucking small drop in the bucket of reality compared to what people deal with in a bad situation, or poor, or mistreated, or abused, or all these bad things that happen in the world. Like your ice cream shop not kicking off because you thought your gelato was the best and it wasn't, and your friends don't like you anymore. It's like, dude, give me a fucking break. Like that is such a small thing to worry about when it comes to reality of life. So I always tell people, like, if something has an itch, scratch it. Don't ignore it. Go do it. Go try. Go meet a person you didn't think that would talk to you. Go interview at a job you think you'd never get. Go start a business you don't think it's going to work. Do all these things, because if you don't, how long do you have left to make that choice again?
For me, starting a business was the natural thing for me, because I'm not anti-establishment or whatever, but I have a hard time following all the stupid rules that society has, right? And I had that issue growing up, a little bit in the military. I mean, the military, when you don't want to follow the rules, you get forced to follow the rules, whether you like it or not, in ways that talk you into it. I remember one night I was new to my platoon, private, just got to my unit, and we go to the gym in the morning, we go to the gym in the afternoon. And in the afternoon, or that particular day, my squad leader was like, hey, we're not going to the gym. You guys go to the gym on your own. Now, I just got there. My family hadn't moved in yet. They're not on the post yet. So I'm staying in the barracks. I walk in the barracks. I don't know what it is, 9 o'clock at night. I walk in the door and CQ immediately. So we go up these stairs. There's a CQ desk. And so people that aren't in the military don't know, CQ literally sits there to answer a phone. So if the call comes down, this guy is going to answer the phone. That's like the main job. And there's a runner, and they may have a little other task, but the main goal is to 24 hours, someone monitors to help them. So to go anywhere in the building, you have to walk past the CQ desk. So I'm going past, and he's like, hey, did you go to the gym? And I didn't even think anything about it. I'm like, nope. And he's like, stay right here. Gets on the phone, calls my squad leader, Sergeant Stevens. Hey, didn't go to the gym. You're a new guy, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, okay. So he hangs up the phone. He's like, all right, Sergeant Stevens is on his way in. Now, Sergeant Stevens is 9 p.m. at night.
Yeah.
He's drunk.
Okay.
And he's going to come in, and I'm going to be in trouble because I didn't go to the gym. In the meantime, before he gets there, the stairs that I just come up, I have to lay with my legs hanging off in the flutter kick position and do flutter kicks. And I can't put them down because you're on a staircase, right? And I have to do that until he gets there to continue to smoke me now while he's drunk because
I know all these terms. I love this.
Yeah. So
this is easy stuff.
Because I blew him off. And that's where, okay, yeah, I don't like to follow rules, but right away you realize there's some consequences and I don't like these consequences, right? So the military kind of cleans that up a little bit. But when I get out of the military, I go into corporate America, right? I finished my degree and I'm at Merrill Lynch and realize me and corporate America do not do well together. The stupid, politicalness and everything. I had another instance where I was new to Merrill Lynch. So at the time, I was in a cubicle and the cubicle next to me was somebody else's secretary. And, if you'd been there a while, you actually get nice offices and whatever, but being the new guy, you're in the cubicle. And this lady who I don't think I'd actually ever even spoke to is on a personal call talking trash about me right in my cubicle next door. I don't think she realized I was in the cubicle. And I stand up, I look over the cubicle, and all I said was, I'm sitting right here. She hangs up the phone and runs away. Okay.
Sexual harassment.
No. So I didn't yell. I didn't cuss. I said, I'm sitting right here. Now, obviously, it probably started a little. She's probably embarrassed, feels like an idiot. Didn't realize I was sitting there.
Yeah.
A little bit goes by. Bill Ray, who's a head big boss man for the entire building, calls me, got to go talk to him. So I go into his office. He's like, John, I need your help. This girl or this lady she's afraid to be around you. I'm like, okay. He's like, you need to go apologize. Like, apologize for what? He's like, well, she's afraid to be around you. Well, that's not my problem. Well, can you just go apologize to her? Again, what am I going to apologize for? If anybody should be apologizing, she should be apologizing because I didn't do anything. I literally stood up and said, I'm sitting right here, but she was saying all these mean, rude things about me. And, again, if I would have stood up and yelled or cussed or, whatever, like, okay, that's on me. But she's embarrassed now. And because she's a female, I'm supposed to apologize. And this is corporate America, and he's like, look, I don't want it to be an HR thing, blah, blah, just do me a solid. I'm not doing you a solid. Like, I probably talked to him for 30 minutes. Like, I'm not going to go apologize. Like, I don't care what you say to me. I didn't do anything wrong. So I'm not worried about getting fired. If she feels like an idiot, that's on her. But I am not going to apologize for something I did not do. And right then it's like, realize like corporate America and I are just I can't stand that.
The thing about it is the guardrails that are created, specifically corporate America, but in so many professions, right? In so many different sects of work and styles, they're bumpers, right? They want to control masses of people. And I'm not a very religious person for multiple reasons, but the biggest reason of it, I find religion to be, and again, I don't knock anybody that is or isn't, right? But I find religion to be bumpers for humanity. People need laws to not kill themselves, to not abuse themselves, to not abuse the animals around them, the trees, the world, whatever. So religion exists, right? And back before we had Netflix, the guy that told the best stories always got people to listen to him, right? So, you get some wine, the guys, get some fish, get some bread, get up on a rock, start telling some doozies. Everybody's shit-faced, hanging out. There's nothing to do all day. Fuck, I love this guy. You remember that story? Fuck, and you go tell 12 other guys. Next thing you know, 2 million people believe the same thing. So I'm going to say that that's what happened, but I'm just going to say in a time when there's no Netflix, people can tell some good stories. My point is, though, religion to me and just in general, and this goes back to corporate stuff, is rules are put in place for the most part to control the masses. And there's chiefs and there's Indians. There's people that are naturally born chiefs. They will always lead. They'll always stand out in a crowd. They're always going to go and be go-getters. Those are going to be your CEOs, your Elon Musks, your Mark Zuckerberg to some extent. I mean, he's kind of a weirdo, but anyway, he is in a way a leader because he was creative in the way that he grew his business. But there's so many guys like that, right? And you can go up and down the ladder of different types of industry. And then there's Indians. They're the doers. They don't want the headache of creating. They don't want the headache of ideas every week or managing the ideas they did come up with to keep them successful, because ideas need management, right? You can't just, unless it's like a cure for cancer, your idea is going to get old and people are going to forget about it. So you got to constantly be improving the product or improving the thing or the service and making sure it stays up with competition. If you are naturally born to be an Indian, you're going to know pretty early on that that's what makes you comfortable. So you got to make a decision. I am okay being an Indian. I am okay being put in this place. And I can't be resentful of everybody else that happens to be a chief.
The problem is a lot of, we'll call them the Indians.
Yeah.
We're going to get in trouble for that.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm sure
no
we're going to get
the Indians or ones with feathers or with dots or any of those. I like them all. But I have no problem with any of them.
But yes, that will, the just general person that we're talking about, right? They don't want to put in the extra effort. They want to do the bare minimum, but they will still be resentful. You see it all the time. Social media is a perfect example.
Yeah.
Post something about success. I mean, you literally post anything about anything, and someone will start putting negative comments. Like, did you really need to put the negative comment? Like, you could have just not done anything or not said anything. Like, that's the guy or girl who is doing the bare minimum, but still is resentful. All right, I see success, or I see somebody that has something better than me. They're not willing to put the effort in or the time in, but they're going to complain about it. And I feel like I see it all the time.
Yeah. Well, the thing you bring up about social media, I mean, and we're going in a couple of different directions, but, social media is a blessing and a curse, and for obvious reasons, right? So before social media, people truly needed to communicate in a one-on-one or a one-on-room basis to get a point across, an idea across, or any sort of growth and development as far as with other people or peers. Now, you can be anybody and instantly get an audience. If your content goes viral or your content happens to be interesting enough to where it's passed on, your audience is instantly created. And there's a blessing and a curse in that, because now you have to absorb what that content put out, and you got to absorb what people think of it. Could be good, could be bad. The drawback of that is people don't stick to their concept or their idea because they're so worried about what the masses are saying. Back in the old days, it took so long for a reaction to happen. People can develop an idea, learn from it, maybe even trip and fall a couple times, continue to build it, because there was nobody saying, you fucking suck, you're a loser, you're fat, you're stupid, that idea is idiotic, you're racist, you're this. There was none of that. Nobody was able to get to that information. So you'd make something or a product or a service and it would suck. And then you'd be like, I had 3 people walk in and say, this really sucks. Okay, I better fix it. And then you fixed it, but it wasn't good enough yet. 2 people walked in and said, this still sucks. Okay. And then eventually 2 people walked in and said, this is amazing. So you developed it. Now it's instant. This fucking sucks. So people quit. Oh, fuck, I quit. This is stupid. I'm not going to do this because they think I'm an asshole, or I'm a loser, or I'm fat, or I'm not funny enough, or I'm too funny, or my teeth are weird, right? And then people just stop doing whatever it is they're after. And that is the biggest crux for me with social media, is that you see people that would naturally progress in an idea or a direction and be stymied by the masses' natural, kind of like crowd mentality, gang mentality.
The biggest thing that I can't stand about social media is I feel like the people that go the most viral or get the most attention online normally have the worst information. So I'm licensed. What I tell people has to
do
be,
what?
As a wealth advisor. So I have to.
I'm an adult porn star licensed.
Okay, perfect. I don't have the ability to do that one. But
my hips are killing me. But you know what? You take your pain with the good.
What I tell people has to be legitimate, right? Yeah. It has to be something that I can actually do or is correct.
Are you fiduciary?
I am a fiduciary.
Okay, yeah. Got it.
So when I was at Merrill Lynch, as a broker, you're not a fiduciary.
Right.
Not at all. And people in the wealth industry, they don't seem to completely understand that. So Goldman Sachs, UBS, Merrill, Wells Fargo Advisors, any of those big firms, those are brokers. You do not have a fiduciary responsibility whatsoever. And when I worked there, I was at Merrill for 5.5 years. I was graded or evaluated on how much money I made the firm, not how much money I made clients at all. So it was how much money can I generate from these clients, from whether it's commissions or percentage of AUM under management or things that happen on the back end that the firm gets compensated that the client has no idea about.
Oh, wow.
So we used to call these things like first come, first serve. So it'd be like a secondary offering or an IPO or things like that. We make huge money on the back end of those. So you might put a client in a new IPO or secondary offering that isn't necessarily good for that client. But man, I got all these production credits that the firm is making a ton
John,
of money.
how do I hire you, by the way? It sounds great.
Yeah. So that's Merrill. Okay. Or when I was at Merrill. Now, as a fiduciary, I have to do absolutely what's best for the client, right? So it has nothing to do with how I get compensated or anything. It literally what's best for the client. Okay. And I run into issues, whether it's in marketing or even in meeting with a new client or a prospect. And you always get the question, like, what kind of returns do you get? Well, I can tell you what I've got in the past. I can't tell you what I'm going to get next year,
right.
And well, this guy, he gets this every year.
Yeah.
Well, does he?
Yeah.
Like one, he can't tell you that. That's absolutely illegal, but they do. And obviously they don't put it in writing, but they'll tell him it and it gets stuck in that person's head. Well, he always gets 17%.
Yeah.
And well, okay, I made 17 last year or whatever, or I made 30% last year.
Yeah.
But can I guarantee I'm gonna get 30 this year? No, right?
Right.
So, and I'll tell them it just like that. And they're like, that sounds good, but he gets 17 every year.
Right.
So in their head, they think he's automatically getting 17. So you got that issue. And then the other thing I see on social media all the time is tax strategy stuff. I see it constantly, like it's big in social media right now. You can write off your Rolex. You can? Really? How do you write your Rolex off? And they'll come up with something and they'll get all kinds of views on it and people make all kinds of comments and then, I need to hire him because he can write my Rolex off. Or trust is another big one. Hey, if you do this type of dynasty trust and you do this, you'll never have to pay taxes. That is 100% wrong. Like 100% wrong. But
you always have to pay taxes. Let's just say that. Always.
Well, yes and no. There are definitely strategies to get out of a lot of taxes. Like I personally haven't paid federal income tax in like 6 years.
You allowed to say that? What'd you just do? Are we going to jail? Am I going with you?
As long as it's
don't get us
legal
in jail,
and
dude.
legitimate, I can say what, I can say it. So I haven't had to pay federal income tax in about 6 years. Okay. Now, are there strategies that you have to use? Absolutely, right. And do they work for everybody? No.
Yeah.
Are some stronger than others and whatnot? Yeah. Is there a point next year I might have to pay taxes? Yes, I might have to pay taxes next year, right? Depends on how my strategies play out. Okay. But this dynasty trust thing I see right now, one, the guy that's selling it to you is not an attorney. He's not a estate planning attorney. He's not licensed in literally anything, and whatever he just told you is 100% wrong. And, but they charge 10, 20 grand, $10,000 or $20,000. So people are reaching out like crazy, for 20 grand, he's going to build this trust and it's how the ultra wealthy do it. And I won't ever have to pay taxes again. And in 2 years from now, when they get audited and they get screwed, they'll realize that what they did was stupid, but you got your 20 grand already. So it doesn't really matter. Yeah. And I can't do stuff like that. So that kind of stuff drives me crazy because you see them getting all the views and you see them getting all the business and like, man, I can't post about that. So I can't get the views. I can't get that business. Or I have a client, I actually have a client who kept sending me these stupid, examples on Instagram. Hey, what about this? Why aren't we doing this? Because that's illegal. We can't do that.
Yeah.
Well, no, this guy said it's legal, and like, it's not, trust me,
Right.
And because he's saying it's good and he's got 100,000 followers and I say you can't do it and I only have 10,000 followers, I clearly don't know what I'm talking about.
Right.
So my client is now second guessing my ability as his advisor because I'm not agreeing with this guy who has more followers, and it's like, all right, but
well, that whole followers thing, I mean, if I'm sure you know about this already, is you can quickly hire a firm to create followers. I mean, so many guys with 100, 200, 500, it's really how much money they want to spend every year to maintain a fake bot farm that is going to, put emojis on every post they put out and whatever. But I always look at followers as such a limiting way of believing or trusting who the person talking is.
Unfortunately, today's world with social media, that is your resume.
Isn't it wild?
I mean, it used to be LinkedIn. Well, it used to be a paper. Here's my paper. Here's,
and your handshake. Did he have a good handshake? Was he clammy? He's clammy. That guy's weird. He's got dead bodies in his house.
I faxed it over. Yes.
Hire a guy with clammy hands.
Handshake and eye contact.
Right. Like,
so, no eye contact. He was shady.
He's creepy.
Yeah. So you couldn't trust him. But
sheer bodies.
Now it's totally,
Yeah.
It's your Instagram. It moved from the paper to the LinkedIn to now we'll call it Instagram, and your
they
Twitter.
They say companies, and probably you would know because you're corporate world. Like when they go in there, they ask for your social, like what's your Facebook account, what's your Instagram, what's your Pinterest or whatever.
I'm not corporate American.
But back were. But you know the world at least closer than I do because I've been out of it forever. But when you look at it, like they ask for that so they can snoop in and see like, how did you vote?
Yeah.
Are you upping the Democratic posts or are you upping the Republican posts? And that tells everything I need to know. You love Trump, you hate Trump, and we're a very pro-Trump place here, so you're going to get hired, or we're a very anti-Trump place here, so we're never talk to you again, and you're a racist and a Nazi. And it's like, whoa, I was just trying to get a job selling coffee, man. Like, relax.
Yeah.
What the fuck are we doing over here? Like, that's kind of the crazy world we live in. And what's scary is, you look at some of these movies back in the day, these sci-fi movies, like in the future, like, be controlled by these, I think it's called Black Mirror is on Netflix. It's like a TV show, amazing show. But there was like this one episode where everybody had a social credit score. Like
China, I think, does something like that.
Yeah, they
now.
do it. Yeah, absolutely. But they pushed it to like people literally your score was moving on the fly and you were always watched, you're always monitored. And if you weren't showing like happy things every day, your happy score went down, which then you lost. It was crazy. And this poor girl, like her score just kept getting hit. Next thing you know, she's like a bum on the side of the road. And she's like this beautiful girl who was technically like a few hours earlier was like an achiever. She was trying to get to like 5 gold stars. And now she's like a bum on the side of the road with no stars because she just happened to make the wrong decision. That might be where we are in 20 years.
Totally.
Because we're there now, but we do it to ourselves.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. And I think, one of the things I definitely want to tell you about, like kind of like me, and I don't want to go into too much success stuff because it's kind of boring, but at the end of the day, the one caveat that is across all the businesses I started, and I've started 7 businesses, 4 have been successful, meaning I sold them for profit. 3 of them have been complete shit duds, but you take those chances, right? Out of those businesses, the one thing that I would constantly badger into people is being able to walk away from bad ideas. And that was either the entire business as a whole, no one to pull the plug on it, or just a decision in the business growth process or in the business management process that you're able to say, my pride is not going to get in the way of making the decision to pull this fucking plug before it drives the whole company in the ground, kills the brand, kills the product, kills the whole concept of it. That's where never fall in love with a bad idea. And it works if you live, that's how I live my model. If you live that way, every part of your life gets a little easier. And I tell you why. If you apply to, let's use it emotional or romantic, and we'll go to somebody dating, right? They meet a girl, she's awesome, hot, sweet, cooks, awesome, great with her friends, sporty, whatever the hell you're into, right? And then all of a sudden, honeymoon stage is over, 3-4 months later, a year later, let's give a little more time to it. You've invested, you've moved in together, you even bought a car together. Never do that, by the way. Don't buy anything together until you're married. And even then be like, hold on, fucking
we still separate our finances.
Wait a minute. My wife's not even really allowed to drive my car, but that's not because she can't. It's because she can't.
Mine definitely cannot drive the McLaren. My wife and I have been together.
Know your role, people. Know your role.
My wife and I have been together 21 years. In 21 years, she's been in 5 accidents.
Oh, yeah.
All of them are backing up.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah.
So about the time it comes off our insurance, she backs up into something else that causes something.
My wife's the only person that curbed on one of our SUVs, the wheels all the way around on all 4 wheels, all in complete circle, which I actually thought was impossible because you technically have to pull up against the curb, feel it hit, and then instead of like turning the wheel and getting away from it, you just continue on to complete the circle around the wheel. And then you find another curb and do the other side.
Yeah.
And that is amazing to me. So I applaud her for, now at least they look uniform. So it looked like we had a cool silver lip on the black wheels. Again, I digress. The point is though, back to romance and people dating and this concept of don't fall in love with a bad idea. You date a girl, you move in, you buy all these things, you're happy and everything. And then all of a sudden something changes, right? Maybe not infidelity, but something changes. Like you start arguing and you don't see that you get an argument about religion or children or politics or whatever the hell it is. And it's impassable, but you stick it out. My parents stuck it out back in the 50s. I'm going to stick it out. It's like, dude, back in the 50s, they couldn't leave the neighborhood. Like, cause there was nowhere to go. Like it was cornfields 5 miles out. They're going to just end up dying in the streets. So they never left, but it was a different mentality. And people that stay in those rotted relationships are in love with a bad idea. The idea of this amazing relationship with this person that was awesome at the beginning, that was great, cool. It fizzled. Something happened. One of you decided it wasn't the right move. Notice it and pivot away from it. Get out of there because you're hurting yourself and that other person. Back to that whole, how many years do you have, right? If you piss away 5-10 years in a bad relationship, bad marriage, bad relationship, whatever, you're fucked because you can't get that time back. Time is not an infinite thing that you have. And it is so valuable. And again, military guys, right? We see the armpit and the sadness of the world. You see how quickly you're alive one day and you're dead the next. What the fuck? What a bummer for the dead guy, right? What a bummer for you if you're the dead guy.
Up until only a couple of years ago, I didn't realize I was going to die. So up until a couple of years ago, I was for sure going to live forever.
Vampire.
And
Love
now
I'm from Transylvania-ish.
Yeah. Now every day I'm basically like, fuck, it's getting closer.
Right.
Every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
You're always closer to your death day.
Every day.
Every day is closer to your death day. And your death day could be tomorrow.
Well, that's the problem at almost 50 now. Like people just die now. They just like tomorrow they're just
they just don't wake
anymore.
up.
Yeah.
You're like
you're
what
just
the fuck
done.
happened to Bob, dude?
Yeah. Was it?
Hey, that round of golf wasn't that bad, Bob.
It wasn't. He was sick for 6 months. He might just die tomorrow.
Just died. I'm telling you. Yeah. And that's the thing. So these folks that are in these relationships that are just going nowhere, they know it. Everybody knows it. But maybe they even have a kid, right? Which is always like this shit glue that holds people together. I call it shit glue because I don't have kids for a reason. I call it shit glue because both people hate the fact they have the kid and the kid's suffering for it. Because they don't like each other anymore. Now the kid's got to see a fucked up family. They got to see a house that's broken. They got to see arguments all the time. Or better yet, infidelity, which teaches the kid infidelity and all the nastiness that happens. And they teach the kids to be rude to each other and rude to women or rude to men or whatever. And it just goes nowhere. Break it up. Separate. I've been happily married for 18 years. Been with my wife 21 years too. The thing about it is like when you look at it, it's like break it up, separate, go your own way and revitalize your lives. You're going to make your kid happier when both of you are happy on your own versus being miserable and ruining the kid's life. If that's what's the glue, the shit glue holding you together. If it's a business you started together and you hate each other and you realize we're such different entrepreneurs, but we have this muffin making business. Dude, go make muffins on your own. Like this ain't going to work. All right. The muffins taste like shit because you guys are putting in freaking salt instead of sugar because you're arguing the whole time. Like, fuck off. I don't want that. Like break it off. So don't fall in love with a bad idea. Let's go into the financial side of it. Let's go into the business side of it. How many business owners, you've probably heard a story, especially as a financial advisor, you've probably had people come in with these books that are like shit. Like they're so far fucked, they don't even know it. Right. And it takes a guy like you to look at it and say, dude, you're never going to be able to retire. Like, why are you here talking about retirement? You're going to have to work 200 years. You're so upside down.
Biggest thing I see is just the unrealistic expectations.
Exactly.
They've waited till they're 40 to start saving anything. And then they come in and they're like, all right, I want to retire in 10 years. I got to retire at 50. Okay. So you're like, great. I can make that happen if you are.
You're going to have $5,000 a year.
Well, it's worse. Yeah. So if we put away $300,000 a year and it's not going to be 50. If we make it to 54, you're going to have this, whatever. And they're just like, oh man, like I was thinking $500 a month, I'm like, dude, if you could give me $500 a month and in 10 years from now have X amount of millions, we wouldn't be having this conversation because I would be so rich. I'd be on my own island at this point. I'm retired. I don't need to do this.
Don't go there.
No, not Epstein Island. But
so what happened to him? He got rich and went to his own island. What happened?
Well, who's the guy that owns like the Hawaii island? There's like
it's not the Virgin Atlantic guy, is it?
It might
He's
be.
real creepy.
Yeah,
but see, like
he's
look
got
at that
his own
guy.
Hawaiian island.
So okay, I'm gonna ask you a question. Would you rather look like that guy and have his money, or look like you and have your own money? See what I'm saying?
That's a tough one, though.
Like, listen, God bless, don't sue me, Virgin Atlantic guy.
Yeah,
but he looks rough. Like he got hit with every branch on the ugly tree.
Yeah, but
got rich too. Like he fell in a pot of gold at the bottom.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
He's a smart guy, though. Like
very smart.
He's
got to be smart, dude. He's ugly.
So I actually like one of the comments he's made in the past. He very similar to us, I think, right? Grew up poor.
Yeah.
He actually doesn't think he's smart.
Right.
One of the comments he said was he's smart enough to hire people smarter than him that know what they're doing, right? So genius.
Yeah.
But going back to your question, I don't know. I might take his looks for that money and that lifestyle and just deal with it.
Dude, I don't know. I don't
think he's, on the woman's side, I don't think he's struggling at all. So like,
no, well, you know,
I mean, enough money fixes looks, no problem.
To women, yes, the blinders come on. And I feel bad for people that have that situation because I'm like, God, she is 100% imagining a different dude right now.
Oh, totally.
Like I have to question when my wife's doing it. So I'm like thinking, is she just picturing me with her shirt off versus on? Is she imagining me like putting together a cabinet in the garage?
I just figure
that's how I believe she's thinking.
My wife is probably thinking of what I was 20 years ago. That's
That's either way, but there's still us.
Hopefully.
That dude 100% they're not thinking of him.
True.
Yeah, some other dude. But anyway, so back to how it affects business owners. How many business owners fall in love with their idea? Right? The pride of it, right? They come up with, let's just say a widget, right? And it does a thing. And they develop the widget and they put a ton of hours. I'm not saying they're not hard workers. They put 80 hours, 90 hours developing this thing. It's even worse for the ones that spend more time with it and really put effort. They get to the 1 year mark and the thing's fluttering, right? If anything goes wrong, it's tanked out and they're bankrupt. If a few things go right, they live another 2 months. How many times should those people stop believing in that idea, stop falling in love with that bad idea and save yourself and go to the next thing, build the next thing, create something else, get a regular job for a couple months or a year, and then create the next thing.
I honestly can't really think of anyone off the top of my head who started a business and first time just nailed it. Like every entrepreneur I can think of has failed probably more times than they've succeeded until they get that one home run. Right. So to your point, knowing when to just cut my losses and move on to the next thing. Yeah. I mean,
and it's funny. Some people will call that and say it's a quitter's mentality or it's a cowardice way out or it's you don't really believe in your dream. No, it's actually having foresight and having the ability to read the room and say, you know what? It's time to walk away from this idea because it isn't going to pan out. And having the at least the gumption to say to yourself, hey man, I kind of fucked this up. This is on me. I really took a guess that the market would like this or the idea or the service was going to be some people wanted, and it isn't. Okay. There's nothing wrong with that, but like so much pride is kept in business owner, ego, pride. It's just amazing how far they'll follow a bad idea into the netherworlds, right?
So I do jujitsu. I've been doing jujitsu for the last 10 years. Okay. And ego.
That's like wrestling with dudes all the time, right?
All the time. Yeah. Yep. So,
and there's feet out, which by the way, I got a feet problem. I don't like them. I think if we had flippers, we'd be better swimmers. Shoes would fit better.
We'd definitely be better
and it wouldn't be
swimmers.
as ugly.
Yeah.
Just putting it out there.
But
I hate feet.
Ego.
My wife has beautiful feet, by the way. That's why we're married.
Ego is the thing in jiu-jitsu, right? You always get a young athletic guy comes into a gym and he just thinks he's going to manhandle somebody in there. And dude, you might stick the dude with a girl. Like when I first started doing jiu-jitsu, I can't tell you how many times I got submitted by a female, right? Where you just think, well, I'm a strong dude, I'm going to throw them all over the place. And you can't, right?
Submitted by a girl.
Yeah.
Got it.
I actually think jiu-jitsu helps quite a lot in the real world, right? Because your ego is either going to break you in jiu-jitsu because you're going to get beat literally every day for years on years before you get good at it. And you're either going to be able to learn to deal with that or you're not and you're going to quit, right? Business, same thing, right? But I honestly think someone who might be getting into business or even has an ego issue doing some jiu-jitsu would help dramatically.
Sure, yeah.
It's going to fix your issue or you're going to quit.
I mean, anything you do that is outside of the comfort of what your day-to-day life is a way to break barriers, right? And get out of that glass room that you put yourself in. You know, go into a social event. If you don't want to look at feet and wrestle dudes, and you want to do something where you just go to an event that normally you wouldn't want to do, right? It's like as vets, right? Yeah. And I was diagnosed with first responder PTSD years ago. And in certain rooms, I have to work really hard. And again, counseling, God bless the VA for helping with that. Counseling has helped me dramatically be able to be somewhat comfortable in the room. And the only way I can be comfortable in a large room with people and doors everywhere and all that stuff is I have to be active, meaning I have to be the center of attention. I don't mean because I need attention. It's actually the opposite. I don't want the attention, but if I'm not active, I feel like I can't control what's happening. So it makes me super uncomfortable. But the only way I would ever be able to speak to anybody outside of my image in my mirror is by being able to go into those situations and just kind of sweat it out and freak out a little bit and get past it. And that's right. I mean, with people that just don't take those type of chances, I find it to be such a waste of your life because like we talked about, you could drop dead tomorrow and you never know what can happen. And it's like, holy shit, you missed the opportunity to do such and such because you didn't have the balls to do it.
I want to go back to your businesses. So you started seven.
Okay.
And you said 4 were successful, 3 were not.
And I call success the ability to sell a business.
Okay.
For money.
Okay. So
I'll promise.
Let's go to the 3 that failed first.
Yeah.
What were they?
A golf bag company called October Golf Gear. Okay. So I got into golf years ago as a therapeutic thing. Actually, my VA counselor told me, he goes, you got to go do something outside. You cannot sit in the house, because I was in this really dark period right after the military where I just wasn't leaving the house. I was just miserable, right? And that's where a lot of vets end up committing suicide. They just feel like they're just trapped and they can't get out of it.
It's a hard transition.
It's a very hard transition.
Very hard.
Very hard. For me, it was really shitty because I was military police and I knew I was wanting to be a police officer when I got out. But all the shit that happened to me while I was in the military effed me up pretty good. So when I went and applied for police jobs, LAPD, San Diego PD, San Diego Sheriffs, I failed all the psyche evals. I passed, the book shit. I passed the physical, no problem. I myself was physically fit back then, very physically fit because that's what the military does to you. But I would fail the psyche eval. And I'm like, I'm not crazy. You're fucking crazy. Right. And they're like, okay, that answer, that's why you're not hired. I'm like, fuck you. I'm going to fucking kill you guys. And they're like, okay, that's another reason why you're not hired, sir. Yeah. Like, can you please leave the room before we arrest you? So it's just the interesting thing about it is, when you go back to that and you have those dark periods, some of these businesses that I started and did were kind of a way to get out of it. So the golf was a way to get out of the house, be alone in a way. Cause if you get a tea time by yourself, you can literally just be by yourself with the world with a very frustrating fucking game. Right. Right. Fuck golf in a good way, but it's such a frustrating game that it keeps your attention on what you're doing. Right? It's not a thing that you can take your mind off of it and then it just works. If you don't pay attention, you're going to fuck it up. So it really gets your mind from spiraling into dark places into a focal point. And that's really helpful for vets, right? To be able to focus. Well, I'm always this guy, like I'll find a problem that I just see while I'm living my life and I want to find a solution for it. And so I thought, ooh, I have all these trinkets and shit on my golf bag and I'm out of pockets. Well, I should just have a pocket here that I can put on there if I need this trinket. Like in the winter, I need a jacket, but in the summer, I need shades, extra set of sunglasses. So I should make it interchangeable.
Almost like a MOLLE attachment thing for a rucksack or something.
That's what I created.
Okay, yeah.
That's literally if I created. I'm like, oh my God, I had in the military a rucksack, right? So I created a MOLLE system golf bag it was called October Golf Gear because my wife and I were married in October and I thought it was kind of cool. It went off like absolute shit. We've spent a ton of money going to the PGA show in Florida. We spent a ton of money advertising. I spent a ton of money on tooling over in China to make the actual bags. I spent all this time, research effort, and people are like, it's too complicated. I don't understand it. Because not everybody's military. Right. Not everybody understands how a rucksack works or a MOLLE gear or the snaps behind the Velcro and they go behind, not in front. Like, oh my God. Right.
Weave them in and out.
And you got to weave them in and out. Right. Yeah. So people were like, yeah, it's too complicated. I just want to have zippers unzip it. Oh, I want to have a magnet pouch. Like, dude, I'm literally giving you a concierge service on your bag anytime you go out to play a round of golf. So I went off like shit. Total failure.
How long did it last?
I sat around babying that for 18 months.
Okay.
Went $180,000 in debt with it. Wasted $180,000, not debt, but wasted $180,000. And ended up with over 1,000 golf bags that nobody would buy. Now that could have scared the pants off of me, right? $250,000-ish plus effort. But I looked at it and I said, when I got the 18-month mark, I had like a 6-month plan, 12-month, 18-month, 24, so on, 5-year, 10-year. When I got to the 6-month plan and it wasn't going off, I'm like, fuck, what the hell? I'm not working hard enough, right? Then I had another business going at the time, so it was funding my insanity. But I thought, okay, it's me. I'm devoting too much time to my other business and I'm not putting all the time in this business. So I need to refocus. A little bit of pride there, right? This idea will work. Get to the 12-month mark. Numbers are even worse. We have even more inventory. It's going even worse. Okay, fuck. Now what are we doing? Now let's really put a 6-month plan. And this is where Fall in Love with a Bad Idea came into mind. Well, I mean, I was already thinking this way, but now I put a label on it. Said, I'm going to give myself 6 months to fall out of love with this stupid fucking company and get rid of everything I have before it sinks any more money or any more of my time in it. And sure enough, did 6 more months of 60-hour weeks for it, did all the promotion, and it still floundered and still lost money. And I'm like, that's it, walk away. And that was a huge failure. I did a collectibles company, again, in the golf world, where it was literally collectible head covers, hats, merch. You know, like Scotty Cameron. Do you golf?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like Scotty Cameron stuff and all that other kind of crap. What's another one that's out there now? They are out of the East Coast. They're really big. They do chest covers. They've started doing putters. They got like clown faces for one. Anyway, whatever. Now I forget. So much for their advertising. But, so the failures again, right? But then I look at the companies that I did that had success with. And you look at Battle Foam, my company that I just sold. It ran for 17 years. It went viral. It was in such a weird realm that I never thought I'd get into.
What was it?
So it was storage solutions for miniature collectibles.
Okay.
So miniature collectibles range in variations of styles, but the biggest game, I guess you can call it, think chess with tanks and nerdier.
Okay.
If it's possible to think that way. But it's also super cool because Harry Cavill does it. You know, Harry Cavill, Superman.
Okay.
He's a huge nerd guy.
Yeah.
God bless him.
Okay.
Right? I think if that guy does it, I can do it. Right. I mean, the late Robin Williams did it. You know, so many pro athletes do it. And the reason I know these freaking guys is because they bought our stuff and I met them through our website. And I'm like, what? He wants Robin Williams on the bag. What the fuck? Not real Robin Williams. Oh yeah, it's going to Napa. What? He has a vineyard there. Oh my God, it is Robin Williams. And we ended up talking to his PR person, but anyway, he never talked to us. But the funny thing about it is like that company was literally a solution for a problem. It was created because people travel with these collectibles, sometimes just from your house to the store down the street, or sometimes from your house to a tournament in the UK, right? So you're flying all over the world with this stuff, and you have these collectible armies that are worth $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 if they're tournament-style armies. I mean, that's a lot of money in a little cube, right? So you got to make sure it gets there safe. That's what we create a solution for. From there, I went into making storage for guns, optics. We did a ton for the golf industry. All the PGA Tour companies use us for all their storage needs, or did. I say we, as I still own it, but they Battle Foam. So the point is that company, that kind of went viral, right? I had a solution for a product, and then I just invested all my time and effort into it. And it was at such a surprisingly lucky time because I had just gotten terrible news from the sheriff's department that I was not accepted in the program. And I was like, what the fuck do I do now? You know, so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to, and this was where my first business started. What am I going to do now? So I started a baseball bat company. So my first business was wood baseball bats for Major League Baseball, if you could believe that. I played baseball in high school, grade school, played a little bit in the military. We had a little baseball team that we played.
Fun fact, okay, in the future, if you want to get into the baseball industry, I know somebody.
Okay, well, I don't want to know any of them because I was in the industry and I hated it. So.
My wife's family actually owns the Colorado Rockies.
Oh my God. Okay, so I will tell you that I was in that world for 7 years, from 2003, basically when I was just getting out of the military, all the way till 2009, give or take. And the reason why I got into it is I had nowhere to go. So the sheriff's department tells me no. I'm like, what am I going to do with myself? I started calling people back home. Hey man, do you guys have any jobs at this point? I've been out of the high school for like 7 years, right? I'm like, hey, I'm going to be out soon. Like, do you guys have any jobs? Is there anything back home? I'm in California, San Diego, and I'm in Arizona part-time. Like, what do you guys have? Oh, we got nothing, man. I don't know. Fuck, you want to come out here and apply for places? Great. Well, a buddy of mine goes, yeah, one of your good friends made it with the Marlins. He was a single A ball. And I'm like, Jimmy made it with the Marlins? He got drafted? He goes, yeah, he's been playing for like 3 years for him. I'm like, holy shit, that's awesome. So I get a hold of him. I talked to his mom, which I knew, and get a hold of him. He's like, dude, what are you doing? And whatever. And we got talking. I was like, Jimmy, do you need somebody to carry your bags or your jock strap or shine the tip of your bat? What do you need, bro? He goes, no, but I'd love for somebody to make good bats. you know, because the bats we get from the team are shit. Like we get all the crap wood. I'm like, really? Because I used to make our bats in high school. So our baseball coach was our wood shop teacher. So if you wanted a straight A, at least for one class, it was like I had all D's and 1A, wood shop, right? So I would make all of our bats after class for the team to use. So then we would go out and I mean, we were a hell of a good hitting team. Jimmy obviously being drafted was because we would hit obviously with aluminum in games, and then all BP was done with wood, which teaches you so much more things about hitting. Anyway, I digress. But Jimmy's like, dude, make bats. I'm like, but Jimmy, I haven't made bats in 8 years, dude. I'm like, how the fuck am I gonna do it? He goes, buy a lathe and make bats, dude. I will get them sold for you. So sure shit, I go buy a lathe. I start ripping bats. I knew how to do it. I still had the same wood resources were the same ones we were ordering wood in high school. Next thing you know, I start making bats out of my garage in Mesa, East Mesa, part-time. Shit goes gangbusters, goes viral. We end up picking up all of these players. Bats end up in the Hall of Fame. The 07 White Sox won the World Series with my bats. Jermaine died.
So this company worked out.
Big time.
Okay.
Big fucking time. I mean, we have 3 bats in the Hall of Fame right now.
Wow.
Manny Ramirez retired one of them. Jermaine Dye retired one of them. And Eric Chavez retired one of them. So all these guys are retired players now. But anyway, so the point is that was effort mixed with luck. I was just in the right place at the right time to hand out the bats and my friend being drafted. If I didn't know Jimmy, if I hadn't gone to Papago Park to hand out bats and Jermaine grabbed one, who ended up being a client eventually, would it have worked out the same way? Maybe, maybe not. You know what I mean? Yeah, I made a cool bat, you know, and it was harder than the other ones, whatever, right? It's all bullshit. It's all the same. It's just people's mentality. They hit one ball really good and that's my fucking bat forever, you know, and they never change their underwear or the bat. So it's just what it is with baseball. But could it have gone different? Maybe. So some of that is luck and opportunity, right? But if you go further down the line with it, Battle Foam started because I had a issue with baseball, and being family with baseball and having an understanding of it.
I don't actually follow anything. So
I don't either anymore.
So funny story. Like I told you, I used to be a ranger and I was a sniper.
Yeah.
Okay. So someone reaches out and says, hey, I want you to take these 2 guys shooting while they're in to play baseball, but they're going to be in Phoenix. I think it was during spring training or something. I was like, okay, cool. So I take them out shooting. It's Matt Belisle and Todd Helton.
Oh shit.
And so I take them out shooting, and we're shooting, and easy to coach. Baseball player, right? Hey, you take a picture of them while the way they're laying. Hey, look, your body looks like this. I need to look like this. You need to move your hips. You need to do this. Okay. All right. Natural point of aim, all this.
This is not when Todd Helton flipped his 4x4 or 4-wheeler. You weren't with him that night.
I was not with him during any of that. Okay. So someone had mentioned pitcher. So I go over and again, I don't follow sports at all.
Yeah.
So I'm talking to Matt. Matt is a pitcher. So I go over to Todd and I'm like, so are you a pitcher? And he kind of looks at me like, you know who the fuck I am? Like, are you kidding me? I'm like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
So he tells me whatever it is, first base, outfield, whatever it is, and I'm like, cool. All right. So driving home that night and I'm talking to someone on the phone, like, you don't know who fucking Todd Helton is. I'm like, I have no fucking idea who Todd Helton is. And they're like, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. I'm like, yeah, no clue.
Yeah.
I still talk to those guys to this day. So I will get these random phone calls or text messages on, hey, I'm going on this hunt in Africa. What rifle should I take and what scope should I put on or whatever? And I noticed that because you just treat them like a normal dude, because I have no idea who the fuck they are anyways, they're just like, oh, this is a normal dude, and they talk to you or whatever. But yeah, don't follow sports at all, which is hilarious because my wife's family, Dick and Karen Mompe, are my wife's aunt and uncle. So literally own the Colorado Rockies, and I have no idea who's on that fucking team to this day. No idea. Not a clue. And the only time I will even go to a baseball game is like during spring training when they're in town. Karen will reach out and like, hey, do you guys want to come to a spring training game? Cool. All right. Or if we're in Colorado, like, okay, I did a sniper event. There's the Army Sniper Association, the Marine Sniper Association. And a few years ago, it was the first time ever that we did both associations at the same time in the same place that happened to be in Denver. And everyone's like, it'd be cool if we, went to a baseball game while we're here. I fucking know someone, So like get us like the entire front row behind the dugout for as many people as we want, right? And it's like me and one other guy show up. I'm like, where the fuck is there? Everyone's been talking all night last night about going to a baseball game, and then 2 of us go.
Yeah.
It's bobblehead night though, so that was cool. So you get a free bobblehead.
That's right. Right.
But yeah, have no idea who's on that team.
Well, the funny thing about, that whole business for me, it was a little bit of, as in the world of sports, there is an underbelly to it. And it's like, when you see Superman take a shit, right? All of a sudden he's not so super anymore. right? I mean, you're like, man, he's got that shiny cape and he's shooting lasers out of his eyes and he's lifting, falling planes out of the sky. And then he ate some freaking Chipotle and he's just fucking blowing out his O-ring. And you're like, God, that guy's just a dude shitting himself. Like all of a sudden, that's not as cool, right? Superman's not as badass.
Right.
That was baseball for me. Like I was looking at these guys, oh my God, man, Ramirez is such a badass and he's such an awesome guy. And I mean, he was a nice guy, but I'm just saying some of the guys were like my heroes. Right? Like I had baseball cards and I'm like, I'm finally selling this guy shit. And I've loved this guy for 10 years, or whatever. And then you find out he's a total adulterer shitbag. Punches his kids around. Like you're like, oh my God, this is a piece of shit. I would have arrested if it was in the military. Like I would have fucked this guy up, and it just makes you kind of like, whoa. I started seeing like, okay, baseball is just a business where people are profiting and the little guy's getting shit on and,
So the baseball bat company, you sold that company off?
I sold that company off. Yeah, I sold that company off to one of the minority owners of Diamondbacks.
Okay.
Actually, his kids, he wanted to buy a legacy business for his kids. And obviously this guy's very well off. And he wanted to give them something to do with their lives outside of.
Is it still in business then?
It did not.
They ran it into the ground.
Yeah, they ran it right into the fucking ground. Right. So yeah, this airplane down, nose down. But hey, I mean, I was a consultant for a little while. I helped where I could, and then it just didn't work out. But neither here or there. I don't feel bad that my legacy was kind of ruined because I chose to sell it.
Right.
Don't fall over a bad idea. Right. So it wasn't a bad idea. It was a good idea. It was a great living for many years. But at the same time, I realized that it was going to have a ceiling cap because I was a one-man team and I had a couple employees. And the only way it was going to be a $10 million business was if I really ramped up production, which I could not do and keep the customization and the one-on-one relationships I had. So it was kind of either go against the business itself or what it was, a very customized bat company for the purpose of revenue generation, or live in this world that I am now permanently in. And I chose, again, don't fall in love with this idea. Let's move on. Let's pivot. Let's go something else. Started Battle Foam, which became the bad company. Started a toy line of toys, miniatures, sold that off. That did really well, and so on and so forth. But I mean, the one thing every step of the way that I did that was repetitive was I never felt bad about I'd call it mental illness, right? What military did to me. I never let that become a crutch. I let that become what I didn't want to be. Like when you have your feet in the mud, you know how sticky it is. If you've always walked on the sidewalk, you don't know what it's like to walk in the mud. So avoiding the mud is much easier when you know it's there and you can fall in at any time. So that's kind of my thing, was that I always wanted to make sure that I never got to a dark place where I was, blowing my handgun, right? Like I just didn't want to be in that position. So it was more of a situation where continue creating, continue developing, continue ideas and believe in them and follow through with them until they truly don't have a future, right? And then you can bounce out. So that was kind of like my whole story, and as far as how businesses evolved and progressed and sold and bought and whatever.
If you were to start a new business.
I already got one cooked up.
Okay. So I'm not going to ask the idea. What is it?
No, rally company. That's not even, start one with me if you want. Right. I mean, my next venture, so now I'm retired, right? So sold my company, the last one, windfall of cash, great. Don't have to work again.
Right.
I'm not built that way, right? Impossible.
I have a previous business partner, Jon Geib. So the family used to own the Cleo Bottling Company here in town.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Second largest privately owned bottling company in the United States.
Jeez, yeah.
Sold it off a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And talked to him.
Doesn't need money.
Doesn't need money ever again.
Yeah.
So when they were in business, so think Snapple, Arizona Iced Tea, RC Cola, Monster Energy Drink, all of those, they bottled and distribute all over the West Coast.
Yeah.
Okay? They own the distribution rights. So huge money in distribution rights. So Monster is a perfect example. When they brought on Monster wasn't Monster yet. Okay. And they say, all right, well, you can use our distribution, but we have to own the bottling rights. And so they gave them the bottling rights. Years later, they sold those bottling rights back to Monster, I think for $300 million. And then Monster said, great, we own the rights back, but we still need you to keep bottling it. So they kept bottling, right? So, and then recently they sold the business. So yeah, does not need to work again. However, he is the same way. Like he can't just sit there. So I get constantly, a text message here, a phone call here, like, hey, we should start an HVAC company, or we should start plumbing, or let's get into this, or let's do this. And I'm like, do we know anything about it? He's like, nah, but we'll figure it out.
Figure it out.
But he can't just sit at home. I mean, he's got this ranch property out of town, and he's got pigs and animals in this giant garden. And, he's very like into prepper lifestyle and stuff, and eats healthy, and, they all organic, everything. Basically, they grow their food, whether it's animals or.
It's like Clarkson from Top Gear. Clarkson's farm, right?
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh, I gotta go watch that.
He very much is constantly like, we got to do something new. He just can't not do anything. And he's a little bit younger. He's probably 45, 46.
Oh, so he's in his good years.
Yeah.
Quite like
good
years.
Just like, I got to get back into something and grow it. So,
So, the next journey for me is a rally company. I want to do a rally company. I love.
As in like car rallies?
Yeah, car rallies.
Okay, right.
But the focus, there's plenty of them, right? You got Gumball, you got Fuel Run, you got Crown, you got, hell, we got our own car, Ralph does his.
Have you signed up for the Colorado?
Yet? No, I didn't yet. And it's not that I'm not going to or not. Yeah. I haven't decided. But I know Ralph hates Corvettes. So I would bring my Corvette on it. And it's just not just to fuck with him, but just I love my fucking Corvette. I mean, I love it. Look, I'll be a fucking boomer. I mean, I'll pull these sons of bitches up above my knees if I have to.
Like Mitchell right now.
I'll wear these so hard at every car meet because God bless, I love my Corvette. And not because I'm trying to spite anybody. It's just a good car. I mean, I've had every fucking car there is. I've had every McLaren you can imagine. I have every Ferrari that you can imagine. Not every. I'm being overbearing with it, but I've had a lot of very nice exotic cars, right? And I've owned them all from anywhere from 3 weeks to 3 years. And I continuously buy Corvettes. They are the best daily and rally car you can buy. Reliable, great warranty. All the creature comforts are there, fast as shit for what you need. No one here is fucking running Daytona 500 on a rally. So you don't need more horsepower than a Corvette has. Everything about it is awesome. And it's comfortable.
So what is the Corvette that you have right now? Is it ZR1?
Z06. So I didn't buy the ZR1 because I love the sound of the new Z06. The flat plane crank is fucking awesome. Okay. It's orgasmic. So I put an exhaust on it. It sounds like an old 458, which they don't even make cars that awesome anymore. Everything's all muffled and sounds like shit, like vacuum cleaners.
458 for sale right now for over $500,000.
I do not understand.
That was $200,000 a year ago.
First of all, I think it is 100% a fix. The fix is in.
Yeah.
The car dealers are gotten together and they've created a fake market for these cars because the internet. If you're on the East Coast and you're a dealer, Eurocar, anybody, right? Somebody that's international, Iluso, Eurocar, any of these guys, and you're on the East Coast and you get an influx of 458s. Let's say you get 4 or 5 of them, just randomly, right? You go to the auction, there are a bunch popping up or whatever. And then you have a shop on the West Coast and you got 1 or 2 over there. Why not raise all 7 listings up? And I'm just use run number. I don't even know. The ABC card, doesn't matter what card it is. Let's say that car's trading for $250 and you own 7 of them in 2 different locations, East and West Coast, huge influence, right? Yeah. And you say, okay, that car's trading for $300,000. I'm going to raise it to $350. But all of mine are going to raise up $350.
Yeah.
Or the
all
equivalent
the other dealers are going to look at it and go, well, we need to match.
Oh shit, there's 7 of them on market for $350. Why is mine $275?
Yeah.
I'm going to raise it to $348.
Yeah.
To be ahead of it. Okay, cool, do it. And then you sell it for $325.
Yeah.
Now everybody got raised at $325 as the bottom.
Right.
So now that ladder continues to work.
Going,
And most of these guys are friends. Why are they friends? Because they go to the same Highline auctions with each other every week. They go to Manheim Riverside auction. They go to the Manheim Miami auction, whatever. They go to all the different auction houses or, Car Week's coming up, right? They go together, all these auctions, and they all talk to each other. They know each other. Most of them are on speed dial because, oh, hey, I got a client that wants this car. You have it. Hook me up. I'll hook you up on the next one. Or I have 2 that will trade you back and forth. So these guys know each other, so they create a fake market. That is what is happening with 458s, 488s. Why is
everything? 812.
Oh my God.
All of them.
And it's mainly because Ferrari did themselves with that piece of shit Lucy. I hate that car. I am looking at you, Ferrari. Take me off your list. I'll never buy again.
I would say everything past the SF90 has been downhill.
Yeah.
So
and some would say the SF90 and 296 were downhill, and I've owned both. I like the cars.
I think the SF90 still looks good. Doesn't look as good as the F8.
Yeah.
But it still looks good. And performance-wise, can't touch it.
Yeah.
296, performance looks great. Visually, doesn't look
great. The Testarossa with 2 front ends?
It looks weird.
It's faster. It's twice as fast at 2 front ends.
Still looks weird. Okay. But everything that they just keep coming out with, I think just looks worse and worse and worse, the design-wise.
Well, look, I think, and design could be subjective, of course, but when the whole world says the Lucy's a piece of shit, stop.
Yeah.
Just eat it. This is falling over a bad idea.
Well,
they fell over a bad idea.
They keep coming back going, oh, our sales are out demand.
We sold out. Yeah, you force people to buy them where they're never going to get the Speciale or whatever.
If you want this, you got to buy
9 of these.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the fucking Porsche dealer in Chandler that tried to make me buy a Taycan Turbo S Taycan electric, which there's no turbos in electric cars, by the way, people, to get a GT3 RS.
There's the guy in our club. He just got an allocation for a 788 McLaren, but
what do you got to buy?
He had to sell back his 750.
Okay.
Buy 2 GTs and I think lease an Artura.
Sick.
So that he could get the allocation for the 788.
Cool.
So, but he did it. You know?
Yeah, no, that's just dumb. I mean, so look, car culture, let's touch that real quick before I end up staying the night on our first date, which is so not me. But the funny thing about it is, people that use cars as a way of signing off on their personal agenda book that they've made it, right? So many people, like, my first exotic car will tell me I made it. I want to tell people like that, dude, paint a bigger picture for yourself. Making it doesn't mean you have the fanciest watch in the room, doesn't mean you have the fanciest car at the car meet, doesn't mean you have the nicest clothes, right? It means that you're able tomorrow to wake up and not answer anybody, plan your day however the fuck you want, go wherever you want, or maybe not do shit. And no one in your lifestyle doesn't change. That's true success. If you can wake up in the morning and not be under the thumb of any company, person, or situation, you're a billionaire. And so many people don't look at it that way. They think wealth is based on the material things. And I love material shit, man. I love tech. I love crazy stuff. I love that my phone opens up in like 9 panels and I can see it from across the room. It's just much easier with our age to, do what we got to do when you can see it, right? So it's just one of these things, like, you got to be able to believe that there's more to just having a fancy car. But if that is your goal and having that nice car is how you're going to feel like you've rewarded yourself for your hard work, don't be trapped in the glamour of what the people around you think is the right car for you. I'm a big car guy. I mean, love driving cars. I love the visceral feeling of cars and what they do when you have one that rumbles under your asshole, when you're in it. There is something to be said when you get into an old visceral Viper ACR.
I used to have a 67 Camaro.
Did you? So with
the 454.
Right? The whole thing shakes. You feel it's going to fall apart at any turn. Man, there's something, you're connected for that moment. You're in that moment. You're part of that situation. That's so rewarding, right? Versus the people that their friends tell them, you got to have a 750S or you're a dork. Or you got to have the latest Ferrari or you're not cool enough. Like that mindset, I would so often strive to tell people, man, don't like the Corvette, right? And I don't have to come back to this again. Ralph could hate the Corvette all he wants. People can knock Corvettes all they want. They have nailed that car. They have done a great job. Could it be a little styled differently? Sure. Can they soften some edges? Sure. But every car, you can say about any car, that a little style cue here change would be a benefit. However, I like it. Right. And it's not my only car, but it's one of my favorite cars. So I love that car. And that's all I care about. And if you can be okay with what you care about, what you love, what you find to be amazing is what makes you happy, and you can be okay with that, you're a winner, man.
I definitely think being okay with what you have is super, super important. I had someone ask me this a while back, and it actually kind of confused me when they asked me. They said, well, in the car club, they're like, are there guys that have nicer cars than you? Hell yeah, there's plenty of guys have nicer cars than I am. And they're like, well, doesn't that like bother you? I'm like, why would it bother
me?
Why would that bother me?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, you're not jealous?
Yeah.
No, why would I be jealous?
Yeah.
Great for him. He got a cool car. Like, I don't get that mentality or the way that you look, or that they look at that.
Right.
If I want that car, or maybe I can't afford the new whatever Super XYZ car is yet, maybe I'll work for it. Maybe I don't. Maybe I never get there. It's not going to bother me.
Right.
Like,
right. Just live it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, I think, supercar ownership. Do your research. Some cars are easier to own than others. It's simple as that. It's, you want a car that's problematic, you can quickly find yourself in a huge financial burden that is so not worth the cost of entry, right? Even if the car was a good deal, the after The after numbers are important to realize. Do your research and don't go into an impulse buy on an exotic car. I cannot stress that enough. I even thought about starting a business where I helped concierge this. There's a bunch of companies that do this now.
Stuff.
Yeah, broker, but not a broker. Like I wouldn't charge a commission on the deal or do the financing. I would just do all the dirty work and help you with the research part, because I think so many people could use that service.
So you want to do the rallies though?
But I want to do the rallies.
Okay, so you want to do rallies, which
I've done a few so far.
That's my favorite part of the whole car experience is going on.
I've got my first one that's under this new entity.
Okay.
Is going to be next spring in May.
Okay.
It's Tahoe to Santa Barbara through Napa and Monterey.
What are you looking to do to set yours apart from the others?
So ours, and I know because, right, like what Coca-Cola am I, right? Which flavor? The difference between what I'm going to try to put on the market is it is not about the driving. The cars are a tool. It is about every specific stop activities. I tell people on the last 3 rallies I've done, if you're not tired at the end of the night and you want to go to bed right after dinner, I screwed up.
Okay.
These people that go on these rallies and they get shit faced and they're up till 3 a.m. partying and they're drinking and then they barely wake up in the morning. The rally kind of fucked up that because that means the day was kind of boring. You're either in the car the whole freaking day, just putting miles on your car, or the activities weren't that cool and weren't engaged, so they didn't really take a lot out of you. And then you just spend all night getting high or getting drunk and getting crazy, right? So it's like, I want to wear your ass out in my rallies. And I don't mean like wear you out, but fun-wise. You will have so much fun and so much shit going on throughout the day that you're going to be like, dude, fuck, can we put it? Literally, I was asked this because I do questionnaires after the rallies. I was asked, can you put nap time into the rally day? Like an hour of just quiet time where we can just go and nap because people want it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I got to think of that. Maybe I need nap time.
I love the driving part of the experience of it, but I'm a sucker in general for experience over everything. Right. So I'm a huge McLaren fan right now. I've owned Porsche and I've owned McLaren. Yeah. Porsche, I will never buy another one again. The service I got from Porsche Scottsdale was so bad that I will literally never own another Porsche ever again. Okay. McLaren, the service I get out of McLaren is so far beyond what I've got on any car I've ever owned, right? So they coordinate their own rallies, right? They do track days. They have their cars and coffee. They always make you feel good when you're in the shop for anything, right? You know, going in for anything, right? They coordinated a factory tour for me over in England this year, which was amazing, you know?
Ethan's amazing, by the way. I'm friends. Ethan and Olivia, amazing human beings.
Ethan's great. Christian, the GM, is amazing.
Christian's amazing.
The factory tour. I don't know if you've ever been to the tour. Or
I know the factory. I've been to the UK many times, but I have not been to that factory.
I get there, and this is all coordinated through McLaren Scottsdale. I don't coordinate anything. They just say, hey, you're gonna be in London at this time, and we're gonna do this. So I go, and when I get there, you meet the tour guide. Then they take you in the back, and the tour guide hands me off to this guy, Luciano. And Luciano is the director of the Artura program for the company. Okay. And they put you in a little room and their server comes in and how would you like your eggs and your bacon? And they serve you breakfast and you're one-on-one with Luciano. And I have an Artura. Yeah. So the guy I'm eating breakfast with is the head of that program for McLaren. They match you to who your car is. Luciano has way more important things to deal with than having breakfast with my wife and daughter and I, right? Okay. And after that, they give you back to the tour guide and take you through the whole factory tour. You see where the F1 stuff is. You see where they're putting the cars together. They explain everything. I mean, it's amazing, right? Yeah. And no other brand of car that I've owned has even offered to put something like that together, right? You know, getting to go do it. And that's not open to the public. You can't just show up in Woking, England and go, hey, can I tour the factory? Like it's not going to happen. Right. For them to go that extra step, or McLaren in general, where you literally having breakfast with the guy who's in charge of this program on this car. Right. You know, and there's a P34 coming out next year. And I've already told Christian when it comes out, I'm buying that car. Like just when you can take an order, you call me, I want to put my order in.
Order one. Got it.
And when I go back, it would be on the P34 program, you know, and, you know, hey, here's the assembly line that your car is coming off of. And here's the guy who's in charge of this. And, you know, I mean, that's just amazing, you know, and I'm a sucker for stuff like that. So to go back to your rally, anything that adds to that experience of something
Right. That's the difference maker.
Would be it.
Yeah. And that's the thing. So I think my goal, and I'll give you more information, I'm going to invite all you guys, of course, is really just the curation of the events. That's where we're going to set ourselves apart. I'm not worried about what quality of food. Of course, food's going to be good, right? How many stars the hotel is. Ideally, we're tired because we've had a full day of awesome shit going on. You get to the hotel, you just want to go to bed and wake up and get the hell out of there. Not like flooring around in the pool on the roof and, drink Mai Tais off a stripper's tits. Like that's not our goal, right?
It was cool when I was 25.
Go do it.
Yeah.
Go do it. But ideally the people that are on these rallies probably don't need to do that, So it's going to be curated a little different. And that's kind of the difference between the rallies that I'm going to be hopefully starting soon versus what's out there on the market.
So I have one more question before I let you go.
Yeah.
Okay. So obviously you're already starting this new business, but
Yes.
if you were going to start a new business today,
yes,
and you were advising someone on to start a new business.
I'm doing this, by the way, with a friend.
What would be the best advice that you could give them on how to start it, how to fund it, what things not to make mistakes on right away, all of that?
The number one thing for anybody starting a business, the advice I would give is do the free stuff first. And what do I mean by that? All the research on what you're going to do is free. Research the shit out of the idea that you have on your mind. Research the competition you're going to face. Do all the potential yeses and nos that can happen along the way. All of that is free. It costs nothing but your time, which is very important at the beginning because really time is really the only expense you have. If you can fit it in to do that research, that's going to save you so many things later down the line. So researching, because it's free, do as much as possible before spending a dime on the business. The next thing, find out if it's a business that already exists, but you want to better it. Learn every single thing about that competitor's business. Every nut and bolt, how it's put together. If it's a product, how is it made? Where is it made? How fast does it take to be delivered? How big of a warehouse does it need to be sorted? How many people that need to be sorting that material get it out to the public? If it's a service, how has that person dropped the ball? What do their Google reviews look like? What are basically your competition? Deep dive your competition. If you don't have competition, it's a brand new idea. You invented underwater basket weaving machine, right? And it doesn't exist and you think it's going to be a hit. Great. How do you make that product the best it can be from day one so China can't take you out? Make it impossible for your competitors to take you out once your product exists. Again, this is all part of research. So many people come up with an idea and they think, fuck yeah, I came up with that. I'm super smart. It's going to work. No, it isn't. That's a stupid ass idea because not only does it not work because you haven't figured out how to build it, or you haven't figured out that 6 people have the same business 4 miles down the road, but you don't have any research data that you've gotten for free and with the internet to protect yourself against its failure. So those 2 things, research and find out your competition. Then the next thing, set a true goal-orientated checklist. I know it sounds silly and it's kind of like, par for the course, but so few people don't truly write a list of achievable goals.
Actual business plan.
Because I find a business plan to be daunting because some people's business plan are like 19 pages long and other people are 1 page long. I think it's simpler than that. Have basic goals that are truly attainable. So let's say it's a product. I want to have 2 employees by the 4th month and afford to pay them. I want to have a warehouse that's at least 1,200 square feet by my 12th month mark. It could be stupid. I'm using such generalities. It can be silly goals like this that not only are reinforcing to the concept when you check them off as completed, but they're also attainable because they're things that are really needed in those progression stages. But you're not going to know that list until you actually do the research. So if you just go haphazard into a freaking situation, and then all of a sudden the guy says, oh yeah, we just had cams raised. What are cams? Well, it's for your freaking building, dude. It was in your lease agreement. Oh, it's $10,000. Well, I don't have $10,000. Well, then you got 30 days to get the fuck out of here. Your business just went under because you have no place to put your stuff. So those are the kind of things that people don't think about. So that is really it. I mean, honestly, the advice I would give people is when you have the beginning of an idea or a business, research the absolute shit out of it. Find out what your competition is and find out how they do it and do it better. And then, of course, set up a plan that actually shows progression and goal orientation. If you do those things, the business can't not succeed. And lastly, the finishing point and to end our basic conversation is at some point, if it's not going well, don't fall in love with a bad idea.
Nice. Perfect.
Yeah.
Love it.
Cool.
Thanks for coming out and helping me out, man.